In the heart of Rome, under the watchful eye of the Vatican towers, lies a secret that could shake the foundations of the Christian faith. Ancestral documents kept under lock and key promise to reveal an unknown face of Jesus Christ. What is it about these forbidden texts that scares religious authorities so much? What if, behind the dogmas, there are reports that humanize the Son of God, or even events that contradict what we learn in churches? Imagine a world where Jesus' story is not just that of a divine Savior, but also that of a man with doubts, fears, and desires. What could these writings reveal about his life, his interactions, and his beliefs? Religious censorship over the centuries has shaped the image of Christ we know today, but what else could have been hidden? As the mystery deepens, curiosity grows. After all, why does the Vatican keep these texts secret? What do they have to hide? Get ready for an intriguing journey through the dark corridors of history, where each discovery could change everything. History of the Vatican Secret Archive. The Vatican Secret Archive is a fascinating place full of mysteries. It was officially created in the 17th century, but has much older roots, dating back to the first popes. Over time, this archive became a repository of documents crucial to the history of the Catholic Church and the world. It's like a big library, but with documents that were often kept secret. Popes over the centuries have recognized the importance of preserving this documentation, which includes everything from personal letters to official records of historical events. Organizing such a vast collection is not an easy task. The Secret Archive has millions of documents, and its organization is based on a system that allows access to researchers and scholars. However, access is not as simple as it seems. There are rules and restrictions that regulate who can enter and what can be seen. This generates curiosity and often speculation about what is really stored there. It is a place that attracts historians, theologians, and even curious people, all looking for answers. The historical importance of the Secret Archive is undeniable. It houses documents that testify to crucial moments in the history of the Church, such as the Inquisition and relations with other nations. These records help to understand how the Church positioned itself in different contexts and how its decisions influenced society. Through these documents, it is possible to draw an overview of the challenges faced by the Church over the centuries, revealing a side of history that is often not discussed. The types of documents that are kept in the Secret Archive are varied. There are letters, treaties, administrative documents, and even legal proceedings. Each offers a unique perspective on the history and influence of the Church. Furthermore, many of these documents have implications that go beyond the religious context, touching on social, political, and cultural issues. This makes the archive a valuable resource not only for scholars of religion, but also for those interested in understanding the history of Western civilization. Finally, the Vatican Secret Archive continues to arouse interest and curiosity. With each new research, new aspects of the story can be revealed, and this always raises questions about what else could be hidden. The mystery surrounding these documents is part of what makes them so intriguing, and at the same time, so important for understanding the past. Apocryphal texts and their implications. Apocryphal texts are a fascinating part of religious history, especially as it pertains to Christianity. These writings were excluded from the biblical canon, meaning they were not considered authoritative by the Church. Among the best known are the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Mary. These texts offer narratives that diverge from the traditional version found in the Bible, presenting an alternative view of the life and teachings of Jesus. One of the main implications of apocryphal texts is the way in which they challenge the canonical narrative. For example, the Gospel of Thomas is a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus that emphasize the personal quest for knowledge and spiritual experience. This contrasts with the Church's more institutional approach, which often emphasizes the need for dogma and established beliefs. This difference can lead to questions about what it really means to be a Christian and how spirituality can manifest itself in different ways. Furthermore, these apocryphal texts can offer insights into the diversity of beliefs that existed in the early years of Christianity. Instead of a single narrative, there were multiple interpretations and traditions coexisting. This leads us to reflect on the way the history of the Church has been shaped over time and how certain voices and views have been silenced. The exclusion of these texts also raises questions about the power and authority in defining what is considered sacred. Another interesting aspect is how these texts can influence the contemporary understanding of Jesus. By exploring the ideas presented in the Apocrypha, scholars and readers can find representations of Jesus that are more humanized and accessible. These alternative views may resonate with people seeking a more personal and direct connection to spirituality, moving away from rigid dogma. Finally, the discussion of apocryphal texts invites us to reconsider what we know about the history of Christianity and the evolution of the faith over the centuries. These writings, although often marginalized, offer a window into a more complex and multifaceted past that can enrich our understanding of Christianity and its many interpretations. The role of censorship in religious history. Censorship has always played a significant role in the history of religion, especially within Christianity. Since the early days of the Church, there have been attempts to control what could be read and interpreted by the faithful. This was mainly to maintain orthodoxy and prevent ideas considered heretical from spreading. Texts that presented divergent views of the Christian faith were often silenced, whether through explicit prohibitions or simple deletion from historical records. A clear example of this is the way the Church dealt with the writings of the first Christians. Many of these texts, which explored other interpretations of Christ's message, were systematically ignored or destroyed. This practice not only limited access to a plurality of voices, but also shaped the narrative the Church wanted to establish. Thus, censorship played a crucial role in shaping what we know today as the official history of Christianity. Furthermore, censorship also manifested itself in moments of crisis, such as during the Inquisition. The Church sought to eliminate any dissent that might threaten its authority. Books were burned, authors persecuted, and ideas, often brilliant, were buried under the weight of repression. These acts not only destroyed the lives of individuals, but also impoverished theological debate over the centuries. Over time, censorship has transformed, but its effects are still felt. The fight for freedom of expression and the right to question within the Christian faith continues. Access to documents that were previously kept secret could open new discussions about the authenticity and interpretation of Christ's teachings. The history of censorship reveals not only the desire for control, but also the need for dialogue and a search for broader truths. Finally, censorship in religious history invites us to reflect on what has been lost and what can still be discovered. The search for a richer understanding of the Christian tradition can lead to a recognition of the importance of giving voice to all narratives, even those that challenge the dominant view. Censorship, therefore, is not just an issue of the past, but a relevant topic for the present and future of religion. Alternative interpretations of Jesus. The figure of Jesus is one of the most debated in the history of religion, and several alternative interpretations have emerged over time. Outside the canonical narrative, there are representations that offer a more humanized and contextualized vision of the Messiah. These views challenge the traditional idea of Jesus as a distant, divine figure, bringing him closer to a more tangible human experience. An example of this are Gnostic texts, which portray Jesus as a spiritual master who seeks to awaken the consciousness of individuals. Instead of just being the Savior, he is presented as a guide who encourages the search for self-knowledge. These interpretations place emphasis on personal experience and the direct relationship between the believer and the divine, in contrast to the institutional structure of the Church. Furthermore, cultural representations of Jesus also influence how he is viewed. In different contexts, he can be interpreted as a social revolutionary, a pacifist, or even a wise man. These alternative visions may resonate more with contemporary realities and social struggles faced by many communities. This leads to a re-evaluation of what it means to follow Jesus' teachings today. These interpretations can also challenge the idea that a single account is sufficient to capture the depth of Christian experience. The diversity of images of Jesus suggests that spirituality is a rich and multifaceted field where different voices and experiences have value. This plurality can enrich interfaith dialogue and promote a broader understanding of the message of love and compassion that Jesus represents. Finally, recognizing alternative interpretations of Jesus not only enriches understanding of Christianity's central figure, but also highlights the importance of cultural and historical context. The search for a more inclusive and diverse vision of Jesus can open doors to new discussions about faith, spirituality, and the relevance of his message in contemporary society. The impact of modern theology on conspiracies. Modern theology has brought new approaches and discussions about the figure of Jesus and religious texts. With the advancement of movements that promote a more inclusive and critical vision, theories emerge that suggest the hiding of writings that could change the understanding of Christianity. These movements often question the traditional version of history and seek to rescue voices that have been silenced over the centuries. This search for a broader and more diverse interpretation creates a fertile environment for speculation and conspiracies. Contemporary scholars have pored over texts that were considered heretical or apocryphal. They argue that the exclusion of these texts from the biblical canon may have been a deliberate strategy to control the narrative about Jesus and his message. This line of thought is beginning to gain strength among those who believe that the truth about the central figure of Christianity may be hidden in documents that the Church preferred to silence. Thus, modern theology not only questions traditional interpretation, but also hypothesizes that there is valuable and revealing information that remains in the shadows. Furthermore, the popularization of conspiracy theories in today's society has contributed to the spread of ideas about hiding texts. With the Internet, many of these concepts spread quickly, reaching a wide and diverse audience. The connection between modern theology and conspiracy theories can be seen as part of a broader desire to discover hidden truths. People are increasingly interested in understanding lesser-known aspects of religious history, and this fuels a cycle of curiosity and distrust toward religious institutions. Another important point is that the search for a new understanding of Jesus also reflects contemporary social and cultural issues. Groups that feel marginalized or excluded from the traditional narrative are coming together to reclaim their interpretations and experiences. This dynamic can be seen as a response to the desire for inclusion and diversity in understanding spirituality. With this, modern theology not only challenges established dogmas, but also becomes a vehicle for the expression of new voices that seek to be heard. Ultimately, the intersection of modern theology and conspiracies reveals a deep human desire for truth and authenticity. As more people become involved in this debate, it is clear that the issues raised go beyond mere intellectual curiosity. They touch on fundamental aspects of faith, identity, and belonging in a world that continues to change. This search for answers, often accompanied by distrust of authorities, can lead to a reassessment not only of religious history, but also of the role of faith in everyday life. Socio-political consequences of the revelation of hidden texts. The disclosure of hidden texts could have a profound and far-reaching impact on the Catholic Church and the Christian faith in general. If secret documents revealed information that contradicted the official narrative, it could lead to a crisis of faith among followers. Trust in religious institutions could be shaken, as many believers have an intimate relationship with tradition and the teachings they have received over the years. This breach of trust can result in a departure from groups that were previously loyal to the Church. Furthermore, the revelation of new texts could increase tensions between different religious groups. While some might see these documents as an opportunity for more open and inclusive dialogue, others might see them as a threat to their own faith and doctrines. This could result in polarization, with fierce disputes over the interpretation of what has been revealed. Reactions would vary widely, from outright rejection to a movement toward reconciliation and understanding. Secular society could also be impacted by these revelations. Many individuals who do not identify with organized religion may be attracted to new interpretations of spirituality and history. The discovery of hidden texts could open space for a new type of dialogue between believers and non-believers, challenging traditional perceptions about religion and its relevance in the modern world. This new context could lead to a more pluralistic environment, where different worldviews coexist and influence each other. On the other hand, the disclosure of secret documents could also lead to an increase in distrust towards religious institutions. If believers feel that they have been deceived or manipulated over time, this can lead to widespread disenchantment. The church and other religious organizations would have to face intense scrutiny and possibly rethink their practices and teachings. Transparency would become a central demand, impacting the way institutions relate to their followers. Finally, the socio-political consequences of the revelation of hidden texts are not limited to the religious sphere. This phenomenon could influence broader social issues such as human rights, social justice, and equity. The narrative that emerges from the dissemination of new texts can give voice to groups that have historically been marginalized or silenced, promoting a transformation in power relations within society. Therefore, the implications of such revelations would be vast and multifaceted, affecting not only spirituality, but also the social fabric as a whole. And so we reach the end of our journey through these hidden mysteries that surround the Vatican and the figure of Jesus Christ. But the question remains, why do these texts remain hidden? What else could be out there waiting to be discovered that could forever change the way we understand faith and history? Just imagine if these documents revealed a version of Jesus we've never met, one that showed us his humanity in a deeper way. What would this mean for our spirituality and religion as a whole? Are we ready to face these truths? And we cannot forget the censorship that permeates the history of the Church. How many voices have been silenced over the centuries? What other truths are buried beneath layers of dogma? These questions continue to echo, inviting you to reflect and explore further. If you liked this dive into the mysteries of Christianity, don't forget to like and share your opinions in the comments. What texts would you like to see revealed? Stay tuned as the next video promises to bring even more surprising revelations. The search for truth continues.